Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Mic Check Podcast. It's T Word, the People's Champ, hosted by myself today. I want to come in with a quick read. We're talking about the college football playoff picture and give some quick predictions on the Final Four heading into rivalry weekend and before championship weekend. So, we want to talk about the top six teams, and then I'll throw in a little something about the top eight, even though there's not really a lot of opportunity for somebody outside the top six to make the playoffs. Basically, we're going to start at the top with University of Georgia, undefeated, and they're going to be facing Georgia Tech this weekend. Georgia is the number seven offensive team and the number five defensive team in the country. So, in my opinion, that's just going to be too much for Georgia Tech, and I just don't see them able to pull off a win. So, unfortunately, um, Georgia's going to stay number one. I'm not super happy about it because my folks from Louisiana are definitely LSU fans, and more on that later. Next up, we're looking at Ohio State and Michigan State at 2 and 3. They're going to actually be playing this weekend, and I feel like it's a tough call simply because both these teams are really good. One team is great offensively, and the other is great defensively. Michigan is number one in the country on defense, and I think that's going to loom large in this game because they do have the opportunity to slow down Ohio State. However, I do think C.J. Stroud and company are going to be too much in the end, and I do see this being a bit of a shootout, but not a super high scoring shootout. This is going to be back and forth. Whoever has the ball last, and you may end up with something like 27-24 as your final score. So to me, I just think that offense of Ohio State is just going to be a little bit too much, maybe even 31-24. Somebody win by a touchdown late, 31-28, but not super crazy on the scoring side, okay? Next up, you've got TCU coming in at number four, and they're going to be facing the Iowa State Cyclones. And I just think the Horned Frogs are just going to just overpower this team. While Iowa State has proven to be spoiler in the past, they've been like a thorn in the side of a lot of Big 12 teams, specifically Texas. I mean, we've been like round on the verge of a bowl game or something like that. When I say we, I'm a Longhorns fan, obviously. Right on the verge of a bowl game or something good for us. Maybe 8 wins or get to that 10th win, and you got Iowa State standing in the way, and they find a way to beat us, especially on the road. And I think that they've done that to Oklahoma. They've also done it to Oklahoma State, and TCU has fallen victim as well as Kansas State. So Iowa State has a reputation as a spoiler, and they have a small opportunity to do so. I just think that the chasm between the two teams is just too wide, and I just got TCU in a good one. It's either going to be like a super crazy blowout where it's over by halftime, or Iowa State's going to hang around until the very end, and then the last maybe in the fourth quarter, TCU will separate itself and put a stamp on being the championship bound team that they project to be. Next up, you've got USC at number five, and they're going to be facing Notre Dame. I think they have the toughest matchup after OSU and Michigan, because they're also facing a ranked team that has history. It's a rivalry. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot of history at stake. A lot of the old players come back for these type of games, so you got a lot of pressure on the sideline for these young players to perform and play at their best. And I think that this game is also going to be a shootout. It might come down like 38-34, 38-31, something crazy like that. Just a lot of points being put up. Not a whole lot of defense. Just two teams just going back and forth. Just track on grass, track meet on grass. So I'm still predicting USC to win in the end, maybe by field goal or 7 points. Next up, you got LSU coming in at number six. And this is a team that really hit its stride later in the season and just gone forward and done really well. Sitting at 9-2 with some key wins. They knocked off Alabama, things like that. And it's hard to look over the Tigers. BK has them playing at a high level, and I think that continues this weekend as they face Texas A&M. They're 10-point favorites on the road. Hopefully the players aren't reading their press clippings and deciding that they're bigger than the game, because that can become a problem for you. And I just hope that they're focused so they play their best football. Texas A&M could be sneaky good. They could be really competitive, but ultimately I don't think that they have enough to hang with the Tigers, who finally figured it out. And they recruit so well, and they're so loaded with talent. If you can't really match them talent for talent later in games, it shows up. I've talked about this with Jackson State on the FCS level. They're just too deep for teams that are in their level, but just don't have. They can't get to that third, fourth string, and they still coming in with heavy hitters. 3 and 4 star players like LSU does. And I just feel like Texas A&M is going to fall victim to that. Next up, you got Clemson and Alabama at 7-8. I did say I mentioned them because Clemson only has one loss, so they just don't have enough quality wins to offset that. But if you have a couple of stumbles in this top group, you could see them sneak in at least temporarily to the playoff picture until conference championship week, and then some more things will shake out. Because if all things play out the way I'm predicting, you've got Georgia against LSU, and if they both make it into that championship game with their current records, then let's say LSU beats Georgia, then all of a sudden you've got two SEC teams with a chance to get in. Obviously, Ohio State and Michigan, one of them is going to lose, and then TCU, they've got to get past Iowa State, and then they've got to play a conference championship, and there's a possible stumble. So you could have two teams fall right out, and boom, you've got Clemson can slide in. Now, Alabama, on the other hand, they just can't do it. They have no way to win a conference championship, and then basically they have no road to the playoffs without winning their conference championship with two losses. So I kind of count them as out. So my prediction for the Final Four is going to be University of Georgia at 1, Ohio State at number 2, TCU at number 3, and USC at number 4. Just based on how I see the rest of the season playing out for these teams. That will put you the Bulldogs against the Trojans and the Buckeyes against TCU. I'm going to favor Ohio State and I'm going to favor Georgia. So then you would have a Georgia versus Ohio State final. But I'm not sticking to that just yet. I'm not going to stamp that as a T special. Don't go put your money on it yet. Because the rankings may come out a little bit different. Those teams may not fall that way. So with that being said, I just don't know exactly what that final is going to look like, and I'm not going to pick a winner yet. I need it to be finalized before I do. But that's just kind of how I project things down the line. We still got 2 solid weeks of rivalry football and championship quality football coming up before we can say what's going to happen here. But those are my final 4 that I'm projecting right now. So we'll see in 2 weeks. We'll check back in and figure some things out. You know what I'm saying? And then we got the Heisman Trophy coming after that. I'm going to do a special edition on that. I want to get a little bit more research in on the players before I put my opinion out there, just to make sure I'm covering everybody to the fullest and giving them their just due. Another quick little hit. So this has been a quick read with T Word. Don't forget to like, hate, comment, subscribe, share. Make sure you're following us. Turn those notification bells on so you could get every little piece of content that we're putting out. Got a live show coming up or a full show coming up with my boy Quinton Lilley next week. So that's going to be our bi-weekly full hour that we like to do. So until the next time, this has been T-Word for the Mic Check. This has been a quick read college football championship prediction. We are out of here. Peace.